Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Namaskaram. Welcome to another lecture that will also talk about the life and times and the works of the legendary maestro Padma Bhushan Guru Dr. Vempati Chinna Satyam Garu. So after the Sri Krishna Parijatam in the Vishwodaya College in Kavali, Master Garu got another opportunity in the year 1961 when the centenary celebrations of Rabindranath Tagore were decided to be celebrated. A social theme of Chandalika that was written by Sri Rabindranath Tagore in Bengali had to be presented, and Master Garu was chosen to be the choreographer for that. And this is probably the only social dance drama that Master Garu has ever choreographed. But the impact that Chandalika had made in the Kuchipudi fraternity and in the minds of the audience is incomparable. Even today, by many disciples of Master Garu, the Chandalika is presented. This Chandalika, that is written in Bengali originally by Tagore, was translated into Telugu by Sri S.V. Bhujangarai Sharma Garu, and music was set by Mallik Garu. And in the very first opening scene of Chandalika, when everyone pays tribute to Rabindranath Tagore, was a very fictional innovation that Master Garu has done, which is not there in the original Chandalika written by Tagore, of course, where because it was the centenary celebrations of Tagore, he has made the dancers pay tribute to Master Garu, and because there was no point of, during those times there were no facility for these AVs that we are using today. So he has made a dancer get dressed up like the Rabindranath Tagore, made that person sit in the center of the stage, and the dancers around him sing the glory of Rabindranath Tagore, paying respects to him. And then the actual Chandalika starts. And the challenge that Master Garu faced, because this was a very first time that he was doing a social theme, and unlike the traditional Kuchipudi Yakshaganas, which are predominantly from the mythological stories, he never had any reference to how should a social theme be performed. Because before that, anyone who did any dance drama production were only on mythological stories, and in the Puranas or in the Itihasas, you have some sort of reference as to how this should be depicted. But when it comes to Chandalika, there is no reference, because it is a purely social theme that was not done by anyone before. So in his earlier days only, Master Garu had to think a lot about how to innovatively showcase a social theme which had no reference earlier. Nowadays, even when people now are doing a lot of social themes, contemporary themes, they still have a reference of something that was done before. But this was not the case during the early parts of the 1960s. And Chandalika, when you see the Nritya Rupakam, not just you see the Chandalika or the character of Maya, but the innovativeness that he has made creep into the choreography of Chandalika. There are bangle sellers, there are milk vendors, there are beautiful girls who sell flowers, or at the end when her mother, the witch Maya, is trying to pull in the negative energies of the universe to catch hold of Ananda, you see the dance drama element of Kuchipudi coming into the social theme of Chandalika, where you see different folk movements in the classical dance of Kuchipudi. Be it the flower sellers or the bangle sellers or the milk vendors, you see all sorts of folk movements which are very strict to the tenets of the Natya Shastra. Usually folk dances do not 100% follow what is there in the Shastras. But the folk movements that Master Garu has created, he made sure that they follow the tenets of Natya Shastra, not deviating from the classicism of Kuchipudi. And you see a lot of negative forces of the energy, like the ghosts coming with open hair, and the sounds and the music that is being used to portray them, and how Ananda is tied by those negative forces and pulled to Chandalika. You see in between all these the intricate jati patterns that Maya is doing. So at every point of time in any of his choreographies, he made sure that the classicism of Kuchipudi was established to the core. And Chandalika was a huge hit, a very huge hit. And then in the year 1962, Banda Kanakalingeshwar Rao Garu, who also played a very prominent role in the upliftment of the Kuchipudi village and the establishment of the Siddhendra Kalapeetham in the Kuchipudi village, which was the very first institutionalization of Kuchipudi, he received a grant of an amount of 20,000 rupees, which was very huge back then, from the Sangeet Natak Academy. And why was the grant given? The grant was given to him to make a production in Kuchipudi, a dance drama production in Kuchipudi. Now, the only condition that Sangeet Natak Academy had was the choreographer has to be from the traditional families of Kuchipudi, who is very well deep-rooted in the Shastric understanding of the dance drama tradition. Now in 1962, when Banda Kanakalingeshwar Rao Garu was set out in search of these traditional Kuchipudi gurus, everyone were busy with their own appointments, either with their performances or predominantly the South Indian film industry. And during that time, he got in touch with Shri B.N. Reddy Garu, who is very well known in the Telugu cinema with his classics like Malleshwari that had starring Bhanumati Garu and N.T. Ramarao Garu. It was B.N. Reddy Garu who suggested the name of Vempati Master Garu, that Kanakalingeshwar Rao Garu can get in touch with Master Garu because he belongs to the traditional families, and B.N. Reddy Garu has seen the works of Master Garu when he was assisting his cousin Pedda Satyam Garu in the film shooting. Pedda Satyam Garu was the same person who was the dance director for the film Malleshwari as well. So Banda Kanakalingeshwar Rao Garu approached Master Garu, and then came the magnum opus Ksheerasagara Mathanam. And when you see the coincidence that the universe plays, when you see the mythological origins of Natya in the very first chapter of Natya Shastra, after receiving the Natya Veda from Brahma, Bharata Muni also does the very first dance drama production in the Swargaloka is also Ksheerasagara Mathanam. And then comes the episode of Vishwakarma, and then the Ranga Puja Vidhanam, all these follow that all of us know. And very coincidentally, the very first major dance drama production that even the modern Bharata or the modern Bharata Muni of Kuchipudi, Vempati Master Garu did was also Ksheerasagara Mathanam. What a coincidence it was. And to do the Ksheerasagara Mathanam, he has involved all his dance colleagues from the Kuchipudi fraternity and some of the students of Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu, like the much coveted Padma Vibhushan Yamini Krishnamurti Garu, who was also a very budding dancer then, and many of the students of Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu for the other roles. In the very first presentation of Ksheerasagara Mathanam, Master Garu himself played the role of Shiva, Yamini Krishnamurti Garu was Mohini, and Vedantam Satyanarayana Sharma Garu was Dhanvantari. And you see the innovativeness that Master Garu has created in Ksheerasagara Mathanam. After the milk ocean is churned, a lot of things come out of the milk ocean, like the Lakshmi, the Chandra, the Kamadhenu, the Airavata, the Kalpavriksha, all these things. And how would you showcase that? He used for each character one dancer. The Rakshasas in the traditional Kuchipudi Yakshagana Rakshasa Aharya, Devatas, and when each thing is sprouting from the milk ocean, they came up in the Aharya with a crown designed in the shape of that. Alright, and then they had a separate song for them, a jati for them, true to the spirit of Kuchipudi. And this Ksheerasagara Mathanam was a huge commercial success that made Master Garu become one of the notable choreographers of his times in the entire south of India. People were just awestruck with how Ksheerasagara Mathanam was performed. It was one of its kinds. It had the flavor of the Kuchipudi age-old Yakshagana. It also had the flavor of the modern Nritya Rupakams that Master was trying to conceive, and it was a very organic blend of both that was very much understandable to the cosmopolitan audience who had no idea of how Telugu is. This made many people come to learn Kuchipudi from Master Garu. And very important, probably a very important incident that has happened in Master Garu's life is through a dancer called as Shanta Rao. This lady, Shanta Rao, is a very well-noted Bharatanatyam dancer who was very politically affluent and very financially affluent back those days. She approached Master Garu and said that she wants Master Garu to be working in her institution as a dance instructor. Master Garu, who was not very much inclined to work in cinema, who was trying to seek out other opportunities to start his own institution or teach number of students this Kuchipudi art form, took up this opportunity because that looked very convincing for him to teach the Kuchipudi dance tradition. He started teaching in the institution of Shanta Rao Garu, and from morning till evening he used to take classes for different students, and from the evening till night he used to exclusively teach it to Shanta Rao Garu. Lot of performances of hers happened. Master Garu became very well known, and over this period a little possessiveness crept in the mind of Shanta Rao Garu. She said at one point of time that should either teach exclusively to me and not to anyone else, or there is no point in working in my institution. And that day, the decision that Master Garu has taken has changed the entire face of modern Kuchipudi. With already his widowed mother as his responsibility, already married, having a lot of children to take care of, and few siblings to get them married, with so much of financial and personal responsibility that Master Garu had, if anyone was in his place, probably a very common decision that people would take is, okay, I'll work in this institution because I need money. But Master Garu only thought about the upliftment of Kuchipudi. And that night he said that he will not constrain himself to only one student or one institution, but he wants Kuchipudi to be taught to everyone who wants to learn it. And then he left the institution of Shanta Rao Garu. And at that point of time, in a very small place in Panagal Park in T Nagar in Madras, in the year 1963, he started the most prestigious institution of Kuchipudi today, the Kuchipudi Art Academy in a very small premises. He has not taken any fees while teaching Kuchipudi in the Kuchipudi Art Academy. The way Kuchipudi Art Academy survived was only through the people who gave donations or sponsors or the money that he got through programs. The entire Kuchipudi Art Academy that he had established and served until his lifetime, which is still actively running now in Chennai, in Raja Annamalaipuram, never charged any fees and was always open to anyone who wanted to learn Kuchipudi. That was the vision that he had, that everyone needs to have access to Kuchipudi. In the year 1966, when the Kuchipudi Art Academy, through the choreography of Master Garu, presented with its own students in the cultural hub of Madras, all the stalwarts of art were thrilled to watch this performance. And this was the day when Kuchipudi Art Academy started becoming recognized and noticed. Many students and movie stars that he taught earlier, when Master Garu started this Kuchipudi Art Academy, joined him immediately and gave all their support to process and take this Kuchipudi Art Academy forward. He has trained more than 1,000 students in his entire lifetime as a teacher, and major of them are all well settled in India and abroad. Most of them were from non-traditional families. Major of them were women. And I said before in my previous lectures, he reversed the tradition of females playing the male roles, which was exactly opposite to how Kuchipudi Yakshaganas were working. He also structured the Kuchipudi fundamentals in such a way that there are certain things which has to be taught to females in a certain way, suiting their physiology, their bodies. Men have to be taught in a certain way, women have to be taught in a certain way. When women are showcasing certain mudras, it has to be something very different. So there was a structure based on gender while teaching dance to the next generation of dancers in his Kuchipudi Art Academy. And all the students that he has trained, 99.9% of them are all well settled in Kuchipudi, not just in India but in abroad, flying the flag of Kuchipudi very high in their own individual way, in their own individual capabilities. With all due respects to everyone who is working relentlessly for the upliftment of Kuchipudi in their own way. And as said before in my earlier lectures, there was a time, as A.S. Raman Garu mentioned in the Illustrated Weekly, if on an average there are 10 dancers in Kuchipudi, 9 of them are already master students and the one remaining will be soon joining the Kuchipudi Art Academy. That was the way he propagated and promoted Kuchipudi dance on not just pan-Indian way but an international arena. Master Garu in his Kuchipudi Art Academy was majorly assisted by one Seshu Master Garu. His name was Parupalli Venkata Sesha Chalapati. So Master Garu, after a certain period of time, used to take the advanced classes, and Seshu Master Garu, who is not from the traditional Kuchipudi families, but was a very, very loyal, more than a biological sibling, he was more than that to Master Garu, used to take all the fundamental classes in the Kuchipudi Art Academy. All the students of the Kuchipudi Art Academy who belonged to the very first batches of it were all, apart from being students of Master Garu, were also students of Seshu Master Garu. And both of them used to also look alike. And people used to sometimes think that both are real brothers. Seshu Master Garu was also a very well-known dance director in Telugu cinema in the 1970s and 80s. And many of the K. Vishwanath Garu's films were dance directed by Seshu Master Garu only. Apart from Seshu Master Garu, he was also assisted by two of his very prime disciples, Balakondalarao Garu and Sita Nagajoti Garu. Balakondalarao Garu, who was known as Balakka, and Sita Nagajoti Garu, who was called as Sitaka, were two predominant assistants to Master Garu in the Kuchipudi Art Academy, Chennai. Balakka used to take all the fundamental classes like Seshu Master Garu after a certain period of time. And Sitaka used to take all the theoretical classes like the shlokas, theory of dance, theory of Kuchipudi on a very fundamental way. And just like Seshu Master Garu, all the disciples of Vempati Master Garu who call themselves disciples of Master Garu all learnt their fundamentals from Balakka and their shloka abhinaya from Sitaka, including the very own son of Master Garu, Sri Vempati Ravishankar Garu, initially started his dance learning from Balakka, and only in the advanced training he went to Vempati Master Garu. So he was well assisted by these prime disciples of Master Garu who were like his right hand and left hand. And above all these, his prime disciple, as I mentioned, Balakka, was also very instrumental in the choreographies of Master Garu. There were many Nritya Rupakams that Master Garu has choreographed, many solo items that Master Garu had choreographed, that he choreographed before on Balakka, and then she used to teach them to the dancers who would perform later. And in that way, he was well equipped and well assisted by his prime disciples in the Kuchipudi Art Academy. The trinity of Kuchipudi Art Academy, Vempati Chinna Satyam, Sri Rama Venkata Bhujangaraya Sharma, also called as S.V. Bhujangaraya Sharma, and Patrayani Sangeetarao. These three are the trinity of the Kuchipudi Art Academy. All the Nritya Rupakams that Kuchipudi Art Academy has produced, the choreography was by Master Garu, the lyrics were by Bhujangaraya Sarma Garu, and the music was by Sangeetarao Garu. These three shared a chemistry that is incomparable, that is very difficult to tell in words. When a certain lyrics is written, Bhujangaraya Sharma Garu knew how Master Garu want to show it much before the choreography is done, because it starts with the lyrics and then the music and then the choreography. But Bhujangaraya Sharma Garu knew how Master Garu wants to show it, and he used to write it in that way. Sangeetarao Garu knew what Master Garu wants the mood, how it to be elevated, and the music was set accordingly. And Master Garu used to choreograph it on his prime disciples like Balakka, and the rest is history. The trinity of Kuchipudi Art Academy, these three people have created humongous, scintillating Nritya Rupakams that talk about the strength of Kuchipudi dance drama in the world of Indian arts and culture. He gave a definite pedagogy and designed the fundamentals that are to be taught in the Kuchipudi style as many dancers from non-traditional families were entering the field. Now, this is a very important move that Master Garu has done. Earlier, when only traditional family people were involved in learning the dance, I wouldn't say that there was no pedagogy, because that would be a very wrong thing that if I say, but a sort of learning dance from the childhood and watching dance from the time you are born has a very different purview of learning it. And for someone like us who don't know what dance is, who don't know how to dance, probably when we approach a guru, we wouldn't have the luxury that the traditional family dancers have, because we have not seen dance since our childhood, and there needs to be a certain structured way in which one has to be taught how hands are to be kept, how legs are to be placed, how you should put your body, how you should straighten your back, how you should look as a dancer. how you should smile as a dancer. So all these things are not in our DNA. So when non-traditional family people have entered the Kuchipudi field in a very huge number, it was very important that the structuring of the pedagogy of Kuchipudi dance was very important, because from a very basic fundamental level, the dance had to be taught. So he structured the entire fundamentals of Kuchipudi in a certain way that anyone who joins Kuchipudi dance will learn first the Chaturashra Jati Adugulu, and then the Tishra, then the Khanda, then the Mishra, then the Sankirna, then the Tirmana. Before that, this much of structuring, of course structure was there, but this much of a definite structuring was not there. After the steps, what do? There came in the innovation of addition of jatis into the fundamentals. Again in the same pattern, you learn jatis in Chaturashra, Tishra, Khanda, Mishra, Sankirna jatis. Slowly enabling you to learn it in a structured way, where finally after 2-3 years, you have a basic understanding of how to physically balance yourself by doing a dance style. If the structuring of learning was not there, it would have been extremely burdensome for the non-traditional artists who were very much interested to learn Kuchipudi. And the jatis that he has taken, a few of them are already existing in the Kuchipudi age-old tradition. Let's say the Mishra Jati jatis that he has included in the fundamentals. The Mishra Jati, 3 jatis that are there in the fundamentals that he has included were nothing else but the jatis that we see in Bhama Kalapam, that is done from the age-old tradition. But directly if you teach them, when you teach Bhama Kalapam, it will become difficult. So as fundamentals he included it, because for a dancer, a physical balance is very important before they actually get into the character and the skin of the roles that they are playing. So everything starts at a very physical level, and a proper pedagogy was designed by him that is still followed not just by the Kuchipudi Art Academy, but across the world by all his disciples, their disciples, their disciples. The entire Sishya Parampara of Master Garu follows it relentlessly, 100% to the core of how he has structured it. And this is a very innovative move that made the non-traditional Kuchipudi artists who are learning it feel very comfortable and feel very confident about learning a dance form which they have never known in their lifetime. The dance technique that he taught was divided according to the gender of the dancers. Yes, that also we have discussed. The Aharya Abhinaya was also changed a lot. Many innovations through his Nritya Rupakams, all these points we have discussed in the course of these lectures. And many eminent dancers, teachers, scholars and movie stars all were products of the Kuchipudi Art Academy, predominantly in the 1970s and the 1980s when it was at its peak. Some of the important disciples of Master Garu are Chandrakala, Rajasulochana, N.T. Ramarao, Vaijayanti Mala, Kanchana, Sonal Mansingh, Hema Malini, Ratna Kumar, Swapna Sundari, Shobha Naidu, Bala Kondalarao, Manju Bhargavi, Sita Nagajyoti, Vedantam Ramu, Meenakshi Sheshadri, Prabha, Hari Ramamurthy, Sesikala Penumarti, Kamala Reddy, Ravi Vempati, Rattaya Sharma, Radhe Shyam, Madhavapeddi Murthy, Anuradha Jonnalagadda, Jayakishore Mosalikanti, etc. And these are just a few names. And the list just goes on. And Master Garu, in the year 2012, succumbed to death after a brief illness because of old age, leaving behind a huge legacy of Kuchipudi that would be remembered for the next many centuries to come. If you have to talk about Kuchipudi, you have to talk about certain personalities for sure. And undoubtedly, Vempati Master Garu was one among them. These are some of the awards and recognitions that Master Garu has got in his life. Just to name a few, he was the Asthana Natyacharya of the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanams. He got it in the year 1976. Kala Prapurna, or an honorary doctorate by the Andhra University in 1980. Central Sangeeta Natak Academy Award in 1981. Bharata Kala Prapurna by the Andhra Pradesh Sangeeta Natak Academy in 1982. D.Lit by Sri Venkateshwara University 1983. Golden Key of Miami, USA 1984. Kalidas Samman 1992. T.T.K. Memorial Award by the Madras Music Academy 1992. Kalaimamani by the Government of Tamil Nadu in 1994. Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Sangeeta Natak Academy Fellowship, and many more. Prostrating at the divine feet of Padma Bhushan Dr. Vempati Chinna Satyam Master Garu, and feeling proud that I belong to this great lineage of Master Garu by being a disciple of his very prime disciple Balaka, I bow my head down with respects to all the contributions that he has done to Kuchipudi. We shall meet in another lecture. Until then, Namaskaram.